When I first saw the place, it felt like it had been waiting for me. An aging cottage hidden deep in the woods, its weathered roof barely visible through a canopy of tangled branches. The gravel driveway was half swallowed by weeds, and the porch sagged slightly under its own weight. Most people would have called it abandoned, maybe even a little unsettling. I called it perfect. I'd been searching for an escape, a place where the city's endless noise couldn't reach me. I didn't want streetlights bleeding through the curtains or the constant buzz of traffic outside my window. I wanted isolation, a world pared down to nothing but my thoughts, the pages of my notebook, and the sound of the wind. This cottage, miles from the nearest paved road and cut off from phone signal, was exactly what I needed. The realtor warned me it had been vacant for years. No Wi-Fi, no cell service, no modern amenities beyond electricity and running water. A writer's retreat in the truest sense. I moved in just over a month ago, and for those first days, I thought I'd found heaven. My mornings started with the slow drip of coffee and the distant calls of birds. I'd sit at my desk for hours, the quiet so complete I could hear the scratch of my pen like a living thing. Evenings were calm, soft light fading through the trees, the smell of old wood and damp earth filling the air. I went to bed early, content, knowing no one was around for miles. But after a couple of weeks, the quiet began to change. Not all at once, but in subtle, almost unnoticeable ways. It was a sound at first, a faint, deliberate creak overhead while I was writing late into the night. I told myself it was nothing. The house was old, wood shifts, nails grown. But it wasn't random. It always came between 2 and 3 in the morning, as if the cottage itself kept some hidden schedule. Then there were the draft's cold gusts that seemed to slip through the walls, brushing the back of my neck when every window was locked tight. My desk lamp would flicker for no reason, a faint hum in the bulb that seemed almost intentional. I checked the attic the next day, pulled down the ladder and climbed up into the stale darkness with a flashlight. Dust coated everything. Cobwebs hung like curtains from the low wooden beams. But nothing seemed disturbed. No signs of animals, no footprints, nothing out of place. Still, the footsteps continued. Every night, sometimes soft, like someone pacing. Sometimes loud, sharp, like someone stumbling or dragging something heavy. I tried to ignore it. Maybe it was my imagination, or maybe the house was just old and full of quirks. But then came the knocking. 3 soft knocks. Always, at exactly 3:17 a.m. I'd wake to the sound like clockwork. Tap, 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 always on my bedroom door. I'd lie frozen under the covers, heart thundering, ears straining. I tried to convince myself it was part of a dream, but the knocks were too real, deliberate, intentional. I opened the door once. There was nothing there. But the hallway, it was ice cold, like stepping into a freezer. I could see my breath, and the cold didn't fade right away. It lingered, as if something unseen stood just beyond my reach, breathing with me. I started locking my bedroom door at night, even barricading it with a chair. But every morning, I'd find the door wide open. The chair moved aside as if nothing had ever blocked it. So I set up a camera. A cheap one, motion activated, pointed directly at my bedroom door. I needed to know. I had to see what was happening. The next morning, I reviewed the footage. At 3:17 a.m., the door creaked open, slowly, carefully, like something didn't want to wake me. Then, it stepped in. A figure, tall, unnaturally thin. No face, just smooth, pale skin, where features should have been. It had long, bony fingers that curled slightly as it moved closer to my bed. And it stood there, over me, perfectly still for 6 minutes, watching. Then it vanished, not walked out, not turned around, just gone. I don't remember anything from that night. But when I woke up, my shirt was soaked in blood. I pulled it off and stared at the deep, jagged scratches across my chest, 4 of them, running diagonally from my left shoulder to my right side. They burned like fire. I called the local sheriff. He arrived 2 hours later, a grizzled old man with weary eyes. He inspected the house, the attic, the door, but found nothing. No sign of forced entry. No footprints. No fingerprints. When I showed him the video, his expression changed. He asked for a copy, then told me he'd be in touch. He never came back. The scratches healed slowly, but the presence remained. Every night, 3:17 a.m., the knocks, the cold, the feeling of being watched. I tried burning sage. A friend from college swore it helped cleanse negative energy. I lit it, walked through every room, every corner, chanting softly. I felt silly, but desperate. That night, as I lay in bed, the house groaned. The walls seemed to exhale. And then I heard it. A laugh. Not a sound. A laugh. It didn't come from outside. It didn't come from a specific room. It came from within the walls. A deep, guttural laugh that seemed to echo inside the structure itself, mocking, knowing. I dropped the sage stick and backed into a corner, heart racing. Since then, I've started hearing whispering. It began faintly, almost imperceptible. But over time, it grew louder, clearer. Every room I enter, I hear them. Voices overlapping, like 100 people whispering at once. Sometimes they hiss, sometimes they weep, but one phrase keeps repeating. He let me in. Over and over. In the kitchen, the bathroom, even outside, I once heard it whispering from the trees, the wind carrying those awful words. He let me in. But I live alone, and I never opened the door. Did I? I began to doubt myself. I stopped writing, stopped sleeping. My days blurred together. I tried staying awake all night with lights on, music blaring, but no matter what I did, I always fell asleep. And always woke at 3:17 a.m. My journal is filled with entries I don't remember writing, pages of messy, frantic scrawl, repetitions of the same phrase. He let me in. Sometimes written hundreds of times on a single page, sometimes in languages I don't recognize. I see things now. Reflections that move when I'm still, shadows that linger longer than they should. Sometimes I catch glimpses of it, the faceless man just outside my window, or crouching in a corner when I flick the light on. I found handprints on the ceiling above my bed. Long, spidery fingers spread wide in the dust. I scrubbed them away. They returned the next day. I've tried everything. Salt lines, incense. Priests won't come. One hung up as soon as I mentioned the address. Another told me, some doors weren't meant to be opened. But again, I never opened the door. Right? Last night was the worst. I dreamed I was standing outside my bedroom, watching myself sleep. The door was wide open. I was smiling. But something was off. My smile was too wide, too still. Then, in my dream, self's voice, I whispered, he's here now. I woke up screaming. My front door stood wide open. Muddy footprints, large and uneven, trailed in from the woods and ended right outside my bedroom. I didn't dare follow them back. I couldn't. Since then, the knocking has started earlier, first at 2:17 a.m., then 1:17. Each night, it creeps closer. And now, even when the door stays shut, I can feel it on the other side. Waiting. The cottage feels different now, heavier somehow, as if the walls themselves are bracing for something I can't see. The air has lost its stillness. It carries a weight, a pressure that settles in my chest. The lights have started to flicker without warning, casting the rooms into stuttering darkness for fractions of a second. And sometimes, God, sometimes I catch the shadows moving where they shouldn't, stretching across the walls like they have their own quiet intentions. At night, the floorboards betray me. A faint creak, always close. Like the slow, careful steps of someone who doesn't want to be heard. I turn around every time, my eyes scanning the dim room behind me. Nothing, just silence. But the moment I look away, it happens again. I try to stay awake, lights on, pacing, coffee until my hands shake, but 3:17 a.m. always finds me. I blink, and I'm suddenly waking on the floor or in bed, the air icy, as if something has stolen all the warmth away. And then there's the voice. I hear it everywhere now, seeping from the corners, crawling along the floorboards, whispering from behind closed doors. Always the same words. He let me in. I live alone. I never opened the door. At least, I don't think I did. The thought gnaws at me that maybe I'm forgetting more than just the hours I lose. Maybe I've been doing things I can't remember. Maybe whatever is in this house isn't breaking in at all. It's already here. And I know now, with a certainty that chills me to my bones, that it has no intention of leaving.